So we're here to learn, Jon, all about your curbside journey over at Abt. So why don't you first start with how what you guys did before the pandemic and what you offer to shoppers?
Well, we've always had some form of curbside pickup. I mean, it really wasn't put together where there's never any signs labeling, but we always had an area in front of our store, 4 or 5 spots where people could park right next to the merchandise pickup area. They'd have to run in, or maybe they would call, and then it would take a series of probably connections to even get to someone to be able to pick up their merchandise. So we realized when this happened, that if we were going to do it, we needed to do it right.
For sure. No, that makes sense. So talk me a little bit through about like when in the point of the pandemic did you decide you should do a little bit more of a robust version of this, and why?
Well, foot traffic stopped basically in a store, or it was very slow. There was very few people walking into our store, and we realized, people were calling. We listen to our customers. We've always, historically, over 85 years, our customers have said, hey, why don't you sell this? Or why don't you do this? We listen to our customers. So a lot of people were saying, hey, I want to pick something up, but I don't really want to come in at all. So we decided, why not? We have technology, we have telephones, we have texting capability. Why don't we do something a little bit more official? So it didn't really take all that long. I mean, maybe it was a day to put up some makeshift signs with instructions on how to do it and whatnot. But then, we had to order things. We had to order permanent signs. We did want to, our IT department wanted to really integrate when someone texted, integrate it right into the merchandise pickup system. So those things did take a few days to up to a week. We had roads painted with, letting people know. We had signs put out, and it was, interesting how popular it became, especially at first, especially when people just weren't going out or they weren't really going into a store.
Right. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about how that popularity kind of shifted throughout the pandemic? Maybe it was super popular at first and maybe not so much, or you tell me, you tell us.
It was very popular at first, which is why we went, with our makeshift of 4 or 5 spots, we went to a dozen, and then we went up, I think at the most we had about 28 spots going. And I'd say we probably peaked in May. And then again, over the holidays, it seemed to be a popular service. I think more people were coming back into our store. We have a very busy store. And our store, I don't know if you've ever shopped with us, but it's a real retail experience. And we wanted to make sure curbside would be a similar great experience for our customers. So we've definitely scaled it up and down based upon demand. And I think we're back down to maybe a dozen spots now. So it's definitely curved. There's a lot more people walking into the store now. And certainly there's a lot of people vaccinated. Although most people are still wearing masks in the store, which is nice to see. I was surprised when Chicago lifted the mask mandate. I figured no one would walk into the store with a mask on anymore.
No, I mean, it's great to hear that your foot traffic is coming back. And yeah, if anyone hasn't been, there's one app store and it is really cool. It's a cool experience. So I'm surprised. Yeah, people only wanted to do curbside before the pandemic and not go in, but that just speaks to how convenient the service is. And yeah, just to clarify, when you say spots, you were referring to like parking spots, making sure your parking lot had the bandwidth for all those cars, right?
Yeah, we're in the midst of some major construction. We're building a new warehouse, so parking is at a premium here. And we didn't really want to dedicate that many spots initially, but it's really just supply and demand. So we're kind of listening to our customers, and if people are doing it, we're adding more spots. So we are a bit flexible with our curbside right now, but it's definitely shifted into sort of a more downward pattern.
Sure. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Can you talk a little bit about you guys just have one store, so is it worth launching curbside if you have just one store or maybe just a small store fleet?
I would say, why not? I mean, again, I think everyone should really listen to their customers. If they're asking for it, or if you think it's going to be a convenience for them, it's not a lot of money. It wasn't a ton of integration. And I mean, we've always been about, our company's been around since the 1930s. So we've listened to our customers, and any way they want to shop with us, they will. I mean, first it was in store, then it was over the phone, then it was online, then it was email, and then it was live chat, then it was texting. So look, any way anybody wants to do business with you, we're open to it.
No, that's good. Customer centricity, I think, is the term, to make sure you give shoppers what they want and the way they want it. You mentioned briefly, I'm not sure if you could talk a little bit more about the details of just the technical components of integrating it. You said it was only it was pretty quick. That's surprising. You hear the service, it might take a long time. Do you have any more details to share around that?
Well, we use a company called Captivate for our texting program. So that was all set up and ready to go. And we have an in-house IT department, and they did the back-end integration to our merchandise pickup, where the information just kind of passes through based upon the phone number. We can get, we ask the customer for their order number, but probably half the time they have no idea. So, we're able to even off the phone number that they're texting us, we're able to figure out who they are, and they just need to tell us which spot they're in, and we run the merchandise out to them. So it really wasn't our backend infrastructure was mainly in place. We just needed to sort of tie a few things together to make that work seamlessly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Wow, 10 minutes really goes fast here. So why don't we just add just like one wrap-up question here, maybe if you want to share any lessons learned about Curbside, or if I'm a merchant and I haven't launched Curbside yet, is it still worth doing now? Any final thoughts on your experience here?
I would say Curbside is definitely worth doing. It's a very low investment. One thing to sort of be careful about is painting the parking spots. Be careful, be wary of that, especially if you're changing where they're going, because the paint on the ground is permanent, and the signs are easily movable, but the paint isn't so easily movable.
That's a good practical tip. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jon, for your time. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed our conversation, and I hope all of our listeners and viewers did too.